long way before I became an entrepreneur, before I became a documentary producer, before I got those opportunities to even get in the television world. And it's a story of who I am and what I stand for today. How many of you have seen the TV coverage of the Baltimore riots? Just raise your hands. And how many of you read about it in the social media? And you see all of what's going on there. So imagine for a moment the visuals that you saw and what you read happening in just one area, because all of that violence is really situated in one area of Baltimore. I can go in 4 or 5 different quadrants of Baltimore and none of that is happening. I know that because I'm there at least every other day because my business is there. But imagine what you saw for a moment, those visuals that you saw in social media and on television. Not just happening in this one quadrant of a city, but 10 times over throughout any city, a city that you lived in. That image is the image of the 1960s riots, which some of us can remember. And it looked just like that 10 times over in the city where I grew up in the 1960s, particularly during the 1968 riots in Kansas City, Missouri. I was a child of a single parent, a divorced mother, who raised 2 little girls from the ages of 3 and 1 because my parents were divorced early in a very poor neighborhood in Kansas City, Missouri. I grew up during the 1968 riots. I was 11 years old and in the 6th grade, and I remember the bricks being hurled through the windows and the teachers who were nuns grabbing all the children and putting us on the floors so that they could keep us safe. My mother was the person who was inspirational in my life to even decide I want these children to have a better education. And her own mother went on to glory when she was 7, and she didn't see her father again until she was 40, and she never had more than a grade school education. But one thing she knew is that she was going to ensure, despite what was going on in the world in the 1960s, that her 2 children were very educated. She was a courageous woman. You heard that word again, courage. Who tired of picking cotton at the age of 13 in Mississippi. And she left in the Great Depression of 1930. She left her grandmother's farm and moved to Kansas City, Missouri. But the one thing about that woman, despite the lack of education, despite the obstacles that she faced in her life, her journey became my legacy. And for 17 years that I know of, my mother worked 2 full-time jobs. She would leave that house and in the evening after that 10 o'clock news and putting us to bed, and work from 11 to 7 a.m. overnight at a nursing home, and left there and went to work at 7:30 to 4 in the afternoon as a maid at Sears and Roebuck. And I never knew anything else but that woman working and getting home and making sure that we had our food and that we made sure that we were sent to school and had what we needed. And many times when she didn't even have a babysitter, she packed us up at night and take us right to that nursing home with her. But what I couldn't see then, my mother always did. Whatever it is, she would tell us that you do in life, you become the best of what you can be. And refusing to consider welfare, that's the reason she decided that she was going to work 2 jobs. But her vision was to give us that strong academic and religious foundation. I learned then the importance of education. And all that adversity that was going on in Kansas City, Missouri, and around the country made me a more determined and more independent person. But what I didn't know then was that my brand was beginning to shape. What I did know, though, was clear to me as I grew older, that to overcome obstacles in life, to overcome insurmountable odds in life, you must have a vision and a clear purpose in life. So I always share that story of my mother. because I thank my mother in heaven now for her courage and her determination to lay the foundation for my success. First as a journalist and now as an entrepreneur, because she taught me what I could do whatever I wanted to do in life, as long as I had a strong faith-based foundation and a true appreciation for education. And through it all, the